Okay, on page 499 on 13.6, we're going to talk about travel expenses. Okay, and what that means is if you are sent to go somewhere or if you send employees somewhere to go for a conference, you need to pay for that. Okay. For example, I know one of the coaches that I coach with is going to be in Bismarck for the next couple days for a conference. Okay, so who pays for that? Well, in this case, the school does. The school sends him to training. This last summer, I went to a conference in Minneapolis for a week. Again, the school sent me to do that, so they paid for my hotel and stuff like that. Okay, so on page 499, it says if you travel for your business, you'll probably be reimbursed or paid back for all authorized expenses during your trip. Travel expenses usually include transportation, lodging, meals, and additional costs such as conference registration fees. You would be reimbursed the total travel expenses using this formula. Okay, and again, this all ends up adding up. So total travel expenses are going to equal the cost of transportation. Now, just so that you guys know, that could depend on which way you go. For instance, if you were to go to a conference, let's say in Vegas, which they do quite a bit, okay, that would be a plane ticket. Or if you go to Minneapolis, which also, since it's a regional and it's a bigger city, that would be probably from here by vehicle. Okay. Plus the cost of lodging. What's lodging mean? Where you're staying, housing, hotel, whatever. Okay. Now, this particular assignment, just so that you guys know where people mess it up, when they say cost of lodging and they say that it's $80 a night, but you have to stay there for 4 nights, some of you guys just add 80 instead of 4 times 80. So be careful with that part. Okay? Sometimes the rates are different for the different days. $4.99. Okay? Plus the cost of meals. Okay, they pay you to eat. Typically speaking, in our state or with with the school, just so that you guys know, when we go, it's a certain rate for each meal. So like, let's say for the breakfast, I think it's like $6, lunch is 10, and supper is like 15 or something like that. Now, if you go over and above that, you're not going to get that money. It's just going to be, that'll be out of your pocket. So let's say for supper, you ended up spending $20 in the school, or where your business only reimburses you for 15, then that means you have to pay the extra 5. Okay? Plus any other additional costs. And for instance, last summer when I went to Minneapolis for that conference, they paid for my registration to go to that conference. That would be in the transportation. A couple of years ago, I went to a thing for hockey where the school sent me to go, or I asked to go for this, and the school said yes. Then what they do is they take, usually if you drive, they take a mileage. So they say it's, if I were to take my personal car, yes. Okay, and I did in that case where I took my own vehicle. So what happened is then I drove to Duluth and back, which is X amount of miles. And then I times that by 50-some cents a mile. That's what I got to pay back. If I were to take a school vehicle for that, then it would just be the gas. I wouldn't get paid per mile to do that. Okay. All right, so just so that you guys know, on number 1, it says the cost of transportation to a software conference is $976. So there's your transportation costs. The cost of lodging is $219 a night for 3 nights. And that's where some of you will get in trouble. It says $219 a night for 3 nights. Not $219, but $219 a night for 3 nights. How much money is that? $657. The cost of meals is $87.52. $56.90 and $147.80. Additional costs are $489 for the conference registration fee. What's the total? So now from this, we had one multiplication part, but the rest of it then we should be just adding together. How much money is it? Say it again. 147.
Is it 2,414 and 22 cents?
Anybody else get that? Yeah? Okay, good. So $2,414.22. So for that person to go to that conference, it costs almost $2,500 for them to go. It's a lot of money. But why do they send people to do that? To get better job opportunities, also to hopefully enhance your business, right? For instance, like I said, the conference that they sent us to, and there was 10 of us that went this last summer to Minneapolis, it was to hopefully be better at what we do and work more as a team. Number 2, the cost of transportation to a nursing conference is $1,235. The cost of lodging is $239 a night for 4 nights. So what's 239 times 4?
956.
Say it again.
956.
Then it goes on to say that the cost of meals was $67.55, $42.56, $68.52, and $97.87. The additional costs are $590 for the registration of the conference. What's my total?
$3,000 and
$3,057.50. Does anybody else get that? Yeah? Okay. That must be okay. Now, one quick question. Why do you think the meals are so high?
more than one person.
Over a period of time? Maybe that's per day.
More
Right?
than one person eating.
Maybe more than one person eating. It never says one person going, does it? Okay? But my guess was because it's four days or 4 nights there, that's probably the total for the day. Okay? Just so that you guys know, that's probably the total for the day. What do you guys think? Not too bad? The only other thing that I think that might come up, and I got to look again, but the only thing that might come up is maybe they will tell you that it's this much per mile, and if you went so many miles. Like for instance, if I were to drive to Grand Forks, which is 180 miles, that's 180 miles there, 180 miles back, which would be 360 miles total for the trip. And then I would multiply that by 0.535, which is the state rate for mileage. And that's how much I would get reimbursed for transportation. That's the only thing that I could foresee happening is they tell you what it is per mile that you get, other than just a whole number for the transportation. Okay? So if you look at 4 through 9, look at that, number 4. On 4 through 9, it says miles traveled, 48. Mileage at 0.62 cents per mile is $29.76. So that's exactly what they did there. They took 48 and they times it by 0.62 to give me $29.76. That's your transportation. And then it gives you the meals was $27.80. The hotel room was $65.48. And any additional cost was $145 for number 4. Add those together. How much do you get? Okay, that's what it's going to ask you to do. So in that chart from 4 through 9, to get part A for all those, you're going to have to take and do this step right there. The 48 times 0.62, or how many ever miles it is times by 0.62. And then add the rest of them, and that's how you get your final answer. Then 10 and 11 are just like the other ones. Be careful when it says per night, okay, and not just one, but it's that much per day, okay? So just make sure you're careful when you read it.
Oh, wait, can you go back?
So on page, and all those numbers on number 4 are already there, column. All you have to do is just add them together to give you your answer. I'm just showing you that's how they got that.
How'd you get, oh, okay, never mind.
How to get the what?
I was like, I saw how you got 0.62, but I didn't see it right away, but I saw it.
Yeah, it's in the chart. It tells you. So on page 500 to 501, we're 1 and 2, 4 through 11.